The following content does not reflect the opinions of Fox Sports Radio. If you think it does, you, have some problems.
Special report. Ohtani in crisis.
Okay, we begin our special report on this situation in Los Angeles. Dodgers superstar Shohei Ohtani firing his interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara, after it was revealed that Mizuhara had taken millions out of Ohtani's bank account to pay for offshore gambling debts. And that has many people wondering if these bets were made by Ohtani. Now, Ohtani has since come out and denied any wrongdoing in a statement made by his new interpreter. But this interpreter did a crappy job too, because he didn't do any favors explaining what really happened. But we know what really happened. We can explain everything. So, Tony, go ahead. Let's tell the people what obviously happened here.
You know, first of all, hasn't anyone wondered if Shohei Ohtani's interpreter just got confused? I mean, Ohtani has a teammate named Mookie Betts. Maybe the interpreter heard Ohtani say Mookie Betts, but he thought he said Bookie Betts, and then went and bet millions of dollars with an illegal offshore bookie.
Totally logical explanation there, Tony. And,
Thank you.
Major League Baseball is clearly known that these types of misunderstandings could easily happen.
Totally.
I mean, we all remember, the Yankees player in the 70s and 80s, Oscar Gamble. Many people, they forget this, but players and announcers were strictly forbidden from saying the name Oscar Gamble for fear that it would promote illegal sports betting.
Yeah, I heard that too. We all know the story.
Yeah, I mean, in 1982, the Yankees were playing the Royals, and Dave Winfield, he saw a fly ball coming at Oscar Gamble, but he was so afraid to say his name that all he could do was say, "Yo, you, over there, look out." And the ball fell on the ground, and the Yankees, they wound up losing that game.
And these misunderstandings don't just happen with gambling. In fact, numerous sources have told me that in the late 1990s, Sammy Sosa asked one of his teammates for Altoids, and someone handed him a ton of these little white pill-looking things, so he swallowed them, thinking they were just breath mints. And then when his breath still smelled like dog shit, he swallowed more and more. But before he knew it, he was hitting 66 home runs a year. But the big downside was that his breath was still horrible, like garbage mixed with cow piss. So if Sammy Sosa had an interpreter, this could have all been avoided. Nobody would have ever heard of him because he would have sucked. But,
such tremendous insight and also perspective there by you, Tony, And on that note, we are hearing that this Ohtani situation is having a huge ripple effect across the entire sports world. Many agents are advising their athlete clients to start speaking only in Chinese, in using an interpreter in order to translate. That way, they can blame anything that happens on the interpreter misunderstanding.
In fact, my sources just told me that NFL legend Ray Lewis will now only be speaking in a dialect of Cantonese spoken by only 2,000 people who live on a hillside just outside of Tibet. That way, nobody can understand a word he says.
Wow, smart move by him, because, let's just say, hypothetically, you were accused of, murdering a hooker. You could be like, I didn't say murder a hooker. I said, get me a burger to cook her.
Plausible deniability.
Exactly.
Smart.
And, let's just say, hypothetically, that Ohtani did gamble and was using this interpreter to place his bets. That does seem, you got to admit, Tony, like a smart move. I mean, when you think about it, you got to think about all the other athletes who left money on the table, like Ichiro. Ichiro could have been betting on himself to win the hit title every year, and right now he'd be richer than, Jeff the Amazon guy.
Absolutely. Just such a missed opportunity there. And, think about Yu Darvish. He could have told his interpreter, "You bet." And if anyone caught him gambling, he could have just been like, "I didn't mean you bet as in me bet. I meant you bet as in you bet." You see?
Just so clear when you lay it out like that, Tony. And, another angle here that the pathetic soft media refuses to cover. People, they're coming down hard on Ohtani for all this because they think that he really did gamble. But, if that is the case, that isn't the biggest mistake he made, is it, Tony?
No, not at all. The biggest mistake Ohtani made was hiring an interpreter who didn't know shit about gambling. You know, if this Ippei guy didn't suck at gambling, then this wouldn't have been a problem at all. And, you know, this is such a great lesson for foreign athletes. Make sure you hire an interpreter who actually knows how to bet. Like, instead of hiring Ippei, Ohtani should have hired Vegas Dave. That way, if Shohei wanted to make a bet, Vegas Dave could not only translate the bets, he could have made them better.
Just terrific advice there, Tony. And, you know, I keep hearing people in the media, these idiots, saying that this Ohtani thing is a developing story. What more is there to develop?
Nothing.
You know, he already came out and read a prepared statement where he denied all the allegations against him. You know, how much more do you need to know?
Nothing. It's like this Washington Post story on this college basketball coach, Kim Mulkey. She already told me it's full of lies, so I don't need to read it now.
Exactly. I mean, and you know, frankly, Tony, it must be said, if Ohtani was betting, I don't think there's personally anything wrong with that, do you?
Not at all. What's the one thing coaches always tell athletes? Bet on yourself. If you ask me, if Shohei Ohtani did bet millions on the Angels and Dodgers in an illegal offshore banking account, then that shows me how much he believes in himself. This is such a great lesson for all the kids out there. Always bet on yourself.
Just such a great message there, Tony. And oh, there we go. There's that sound.